right. Well, hello and welcome. We are so glad that you are here and joining us to learn a little bit more about the challenge. So, my name is Jen, and I am the ambassador, the head of client experience for the Habit Factor. And with me, I have Martin, and he is the
Hello.
creator of the Habit Factor. So, we just wanted to take a few minutes and take you through some questions and answers and help you understand why you might enjoy taking a program like this. So, hello, Martin.
How you doing, Jen? You're so brilliant at this. You're a natural. I love it. Go ahead.
Well, thank you for being here and spending some time so that we can help people learn more about this and get them on board because you know, so I think here's where I want to start with this. You know the power of habits. You've been helping people with this for a long time. I mean, you created this, so you created the habit factor. So why don't you take a moment and just tell us how this got started for you? Just a clip of a background
Sure.
so that I just like that. I think it makes it more personal, understanding the why.
So I'm gonna come into this two ways, and the first is this: I am super excited to have this quick chat because the first two words I just wrote down are this is some of the best content in over 10 years that we've put together and we've produced and we've shared with people, and it's been incredibly rewarding and successful, and we've gotten great feedback. So to me, this is the best of the best, and it is a deep dive into habits and goals. And I'm always reminded of Benjamin Franklin's great quote that an investment in knowledge pays the best dividends. And so we can never, I there are two words you should never use, always and never. But we can never over invest in ourselves. And because knowledge is a continuum, it's always changing. It's so important to invest in ourselves and continue to learn. That was a mouthful. Now, where does this originate? I've written about it. It's kind of all over the web in certain places. The habit factor exists and was birthed, if you will. Its inception comes from my incredible struggle and frustration some 15 plus years ago. I felt like I was leaving a lot on the table. I didn't know which direction to where I wanted to go. I didn't have clarity. I felt like I was spinning my wheels. I felt like I was stuck. And so I tripped upon literally almost accidentally by committing to a big goal, this process that has now been shared for well over 10 years and taught to everybody from PhDs to scientists to people in our course. So that's how it happened. But again, my first thought is this is some of the best content we have. So thanks for setting that up. I know that was a long answer.
No, it's perfect. I love that because it gives us a nugget of your passion and your commitment to this while still making it relevant and letting them know that if you're here, you've landed here for a reason and this information is relevant, which I want to touch on that briefly. If someone is watching this, they've landed here because they're probably familiar with the book. Maybe they even know a little bit of your backstory. They might be familiar with the podcast or the website.
Right.
There's a variety of ways that they could land here. We know that they have the awareness around the habit factor, but maybe they haven't landed on the consistency yet. So, can you tell us a little bit about how this challenge, if they are to dive into this challenge,
Right.
how can we take them, or how is the challenge going to take them and help them solve that problem? Clearly, they're here because there's a problem that
Yep.
we want to help them solve.
Well, it's a great point. Yeah, the people who gravitate to and toward the habit factor are looking to solve a problem. It's either clarity or focus or productivity or discipline, the quick Side note there is, we know this, discipline is a habit, right? So nobody's born disciplined. That's the good news. It's a learned trait and or skill. So what this, there's a 2-day challenge and a 5-day challenge, and they both really take the participant from beginning to end. In other words, you start with an assessment and you get clear on your strengths and weaknesses. And because some people incredibly haven't done an inventory on themselves, and regrettably, if they have, they're focusing on the negative side of the ledger and not the strengths. So it's important to do an equal reflection and make sure you're accounting for your strengths there too. And then we work through the importance of habit and really how one can develop habits with intention. There's just so much. I'm trying to be nice. It's not going to work. There's garbage on the internet, and it revolves around the habit loop, cue, routine, reward. It's everywhere. Some of the best-selling books, millions of books sold, and all they talk about is cue, routine, reward. I was just on a podcast a month or two ago. Anyways, the guy summed it up. He said, I haven't shared this with you, but he said, it appears that science is catching up with the habit factor, basically, which is crazy concept, but you're going to see this more and more because we've been preaching this from the beginning. The importance of, we're not rats and mice, which is where the habit loop comes from. That's the science of studying rats and mice, and somehow scientists and psychologists say, oh, this is how people form habits. Well, there's a nugget of truth there, but it's missing a really significant component. So in this course, we talk about the importance of intention, which is a human capacity, and reflection. So PARR stands for plan, act, record, and reassess. So we get deeply into that, I saw another guru, thought leader say, goals are overrated. And what's crazy is, he's got few million followers and they're all, oh, goals are overrated. It's a cute opinion and partially true perhaps, but really goals are a sign of intelligence. And just because you don't know for sure you're going to achieve it, it's important using our human capacity to set goals and have direction. So these are just some of the things we will go through. Yeah. My answers are all very long.
No, it's perfect. I never think it's too long. I think they're just right. It gives enough curiosity. So I have a couple questions, but I want to make a quick statement first. I love, but maybe someone watching this obviously doesn't know, I've participated in these challenges with you. I've had the pleasure and the privilege to sit alongside you during the challenges and help facilitate these. So I've been through them. Every time you share something, it lands not differently for me, but deeper and maybe in another way. And what you just said about discipline is a habit, and it's a learned skill.
Right.
I think that's potent and something that needs to just be stated.
Right.
Amplified one more time, that discipline is a habit, it's a learned skill. So can you, and maybe this is I'm just going to ask it. This might be an elementary question, but I'm asking it anyway. Can you tell us, how do you define a habit? What does that even mean? Because, and we talk about this in the challenge, so I'm not going to give all of that away.
Right.
But when I first started working with you and supporting this journey, when we think of habit, I lean toward the negative ones.
Right.
So when you think of how do you define habit? What does habit mean to you?
So habit to me, there's various definitions in just the behavioral science world. A habit is a behavior that's performed with little or no conscious thought. So tying your shoes could be a habit. Obviously, it's a skill, but it can be a habit. So to me, though, habit is impartial. It's neither good nor
Mm-hmm.
bad. I say this all the time. It's like the Force in Star Wars, right?
Right,
And
right,
what tends to happen and is is people default to negative habits as a connotation, especially
right.
older people. Now, I think large part of the reason the book was written back then was to help change this negative connotation. But habits of force, it doesn't care if you're using good habits or bad habits. The key, this super significant distinction that changed my life was understanding that, to put it simply, good habits happen when planned, bad habits happen on their own. So
Mm.
when we can plan and use intention and follow PARR, plan, act, record, reassess, we can align habits toward our goals. And so that's really the basis. And I appreciate you starting from square one. That's a great point. Yeah, if somebody's just tripping upon this and they're like, habits, goals, how does that fit? One must first understand that habit is neither good nor bad. It's just this force. We form habits all the time because energy loves pattern and rhythm. We are energy. So what's super important, it's almost like sailing. We have to harness the force of the wind. Well, we are trying to go somewhere, our goals, and we have to harness the force of habit.
Right.
If
I love
that's
that.
not too esoteric.
No, I love it. And I really enjoy the Star Wars analogy because we're really inviting people to use their own force within them.
Right.
The
Sure.
the invitation here is we all have a challenge, we all have a problem, we all have something that we could solve. And the invitation is this understanding that you have what it takes within you to solve that. That goes without saying. Let's use this. I feel like this challenge is an opportunity to use that and harness that and mold it in a way that serves them and supports them so that they're using that force for their good.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, nothing's more depressing and sad, and I'm hopeful that anybody watching this believes in themselves and that's a starting point, because there's
Yeah.
no doubt there are many people that think they they don't have this self-concept or self-belief, that they're just at the whim of the world.
Well, and I think, Martin, you and I could agree that if someone is watching this and they hear that and they say, well, I really don't have this belief in myself, or I wish I had more. If you go through the challenge, or if they go through the challenge, I think that they're going to find that we carry enough belief for them to help them ride on our shoulders as they go through.
Yeah, yeah, I
Because
guess.
sometimes, I mean, I don't know about you, but I know I've had times where I've needed that extra nudge, that extra support. And that's why a challenge like this is a great opportunity, I think,
Right.
because it gives you a chance to do it on your own time, in your own way, in a space that feels good to you, yet feel like you're supported and you can ride the shoulders and wave of someone else as you're,
Right.
getting there for yourself.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I guess where I was going is I was making the presumption anybody here has, because there's some self reliance and there's
Right.
some resiliency that they know that it is within them.
Yeah.
Anybody else's anything anybody else is doing or achieving, they can do and or achieve. That has to be the basic precept. Um, but yeah, the habit is the means. A car is a means for transportation. Habit is a means for transformation.
Yep, I like that. I don't think you've said that before. Maybe you have, because you've said a lot of
I've
great
not
things.
said it, but I posted it. That's
Oh, I do
one
like
of my
that.
new favorites.
Yeah, I do like that. So a quick comment or a
Yeah.
quick personal story
Yep.
that I think sometimes personal stories are beneficial. When you and I connected and we started working together on bringing this forward, I committed to this journey as well. And at the time, I committed to jogging. And the beginning of our time together, my jogs were more like jog a few feet and then walk,
Right, right.
and then jog a half a block and then walk and jog. And then it was very inconsistent, but it was what I could do at the time, right?
Yep.
Because I've built up this habit over time in a relatively short amount of time, not only do I just without even thinking about it, and you said that that's habit, right?
Right,
It gets
right.
to the point where it's unconscious,
Little or no conscious thought.
little or no conscious. So my jogs have turned into jog runs, and it's
Mm.
not only is it something that I have to think about, it's something where I find myself just lacing up my sneakers to go for a run a few days a week, and I am jogging now. There's really not much walking anymore, and I'm going 2.5 miles, which for me it's a giant step forward.
That's
And
huge.
if you asked me 6 months ago if I would be doing this, no,
Right.
no. But now it's gotten to the point where my body, it's so built within me. It's just part of who I am now. And that's what we want to get people to. We want to get them to take this thing that they want to solve. For me, I wanted to solve my commitment to my health, commitment to movement, commitment to getting out on the road in some form or fashion. And I was totally okay if it looked like a mix of running and jogging. I had no expectation there,
Great.
but I wanted to solve that commitment to myself. And I'm there.
That's amazing.
I'm there through the challenge that we've
That's a
done
that's a
together.
great share. I could just rip that video and set that aside. That's fantastic. And what
You'll
does that speak to? One of my favorite terms, habit
have it
strength.
strength.
So
Yeah.
so another way to look at habit is not only is it does it care less good or bad, it's like a muscle. So this is why when we intentionally direct it and we use it over and over, it's just like a muscle. It gets stronger. And unfortunately, the corollary is true for bad habits. So
Right.
you keep smoking over and over and over, you're strengthening that habit. So there's a way, inverting PARR, basically using PARR, you can lower the frequency and diminish the habit strength. But
Right.
um, yeah, that's a great share.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to take up a
Yep.
lot more time here, but I do want to ask you, I want to give you the opportunity if there's something on your heart that you feel really needs to be shared for the person watching this. Maybe they've come from another place, so they're familiar at least. They're not maybe quite they're not quite solid yet, right?
Right.
They know that there's something there. Anything else you want to say or make sure that you share to
Um,
let them know
yeah,
about the
the first
program?
thing that comes to mind is the first thing that came to mind when we opened up, which this is honestly, it's the best content we have gathered, put together, and taught. Um, the other thing is this is a way what makes me, not that anybody listening has to be doing it for me, but I'm so thrilled when people read the book, they listen to the podcast, they email, they connect, they share what they're doing and how it's positively impacted. This is just another avenue to do that. And we do connect with our students. I remember, without using any full names, somebody, I think it was Wendy, without using full name, she shared a very complex story recently. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, you touched on it. We're there to help. They can email, and this is a way that to invest in yourself through changing times, and it's always advantageous. I've never bought a book, taken a course, and maybe it's just me, but I've never been like, wow, that was just horrible. It just hasn't happened.
Right.
I'm always thrilled. So, and that, I guess that would be the final. If for some crazy reason that was the case, it's never been the case, but
Right.
you would, anybody who had that experience, which they won't have, but they would get their money back. It's
Right.
so.
Well, and
Um,
you just led into what I wanted to. I want to make sure that we do share the logistics as we're wrapping up here. So, how this works, you decide which challenge suits you best, whether it's the 2 days or the 5 days, and you can see what it includes. And once you dive in, once you say yes to you, and you're ready to make that commitment, and let us come alongside of you. You get immediate access to the content. So you get the content, you get to dive in, you can connect with myself, you can connect with Martin. If you have questions, like, we're here to support you. This isn't so there are some programs out there where you get the program and you never hear from the people again.
right.
And I don't think that's the type of program that we are sharing. I don't think that's the type of people that we are. We are real, regular people that came together because combined we have almost 30 years of
Just a
supporting
couple of
people.
years.
Almost 30 years combined
That
supporting
hurts. That
people.
hurts me when you say that. Um,
It's good.
the final comment. It's not just courses. There's exercise, 15 plus personal development exercise. I was pulling out the Habit XP planner, which I'm trying to show in the light where you can see the embroidery, but you probably there it is. Habit
There it
XP.
is.
A lot of these exercises built off this journal, which sells for like $30, but there's so many good exercises. That alone is, without the class or classes, is
Right.
would be worth it just for the exercise. So, all right, Jen, great job.
Well, thank
I'm
you for
not
being together.
surprised. So yeah, perfect. All right.
Awesome.
I can probably kill the recording. Stop. Where does that go?